Good morning. My name is Jeremy Wright, and I am the Director of IT Infrastructure at Grinnell Mutual. We are a 116-year-old insurance company tucked away in small-town Iowa, and just like Grinnell, I consider my team to be small but mighty. We're just 17 dedicated individuals supporting mission-critical workloads for our customers, agents, and mutuals across 19 states. So let me take you back to last year's Explorer. I was out here, just like many of you, and I was wondering, what is Broadcom going to do with VMware? And is VCF 9 going to be fit for a small outfit like mine? You know, I had followed the acquisition very closely. I had heard what people were saying about pricing, so I came here looking for answers. And as I listened to sessions on VCF 9's tighter integration, I really started to think, this looks like it's a good fit for really big companies, but is it powerful enough and fit for a team like mine? And that doubt lingered. I went to a pivotal vSAN session, and it was a session on the financials of vSAN. And at the end of that session, I walked up to John Nicholson and I asked him a question. I said, how do you get someone like me who's very, very comfortable with discrete storage and how we use that across a metro storage cluster to go to something like vSAN? And his answer was just one sentence, but it gave me a very good perspective that I used that night to go over the math. And eventually I figured out that going vSAN over discrete storage could save me up to $1 million on my next renewal. And so I got really excited. I started going into these vExperts blogs like William Lamb's, getting on the subreddits, listening to other customers, and I started to look at global deduplication and site maintenance mode for stretched clusters like ours. And VCF started to feel like it's not going to be too big for us, and that it's just going to perfectly scale to my small team. But convincing the C-suite is never automatic. Our hardware wasn't up for renewal until March of 2026. We had SQL licensing coming up, Microsoft renewals overlapping with this change. And so I drew on years of budget wrangling to craft a 5-year plan about how we were going to slash our lease spending and optimize our Microsoft renewals and deliver creative timing on these payments. And I presented it all to the CFO and the COO, and once I made that case crystal clear about how we would manage that transition period, they were on board. And so what sealed it for us and what is continuing to seal it for us is how VCF is transforming our infrastructure from the ground up. Grinnell's over a century old. Our IT has been layered on decade after decade, and it can be really hard to make change in an environment like that. But VCF is helping us do that. And it's not just software, it's really a unifier for us. So for the first time, my network, systems, DevOps, DBA, desktop automation, telecom teams are working very closely together in the same platform. And we also have security at Grinnell. Whether you're protecting 100 people or 10,000 people, a lot of the tooling is the same. So our small security team has a lot of ground to cover. And VCF is turning out to be a force multiplier for our small security team as well. And VCF is really this hub where we're all coming to work together, and we're building this shared understanding of what we're all doing. We're all in the same meetings. We understand the why behind, how is this architected and why did we do this? On a platform like AWS, I would need to hire more people. We would need to get more people in. We would have to build additional skills, and we would end up creating additional silos because of that. But with VCF, it's really allowing my small team to extract maximum value from a really cohesive set of tools. And that unifying software, it extends to that pain point that exists between infrastructure and developers. Our developers were really struggling with VDI that we had built for them to run their IntelliJ IDE. And so we launched what I call Operation Monday. It's all about giving time back to the developer. We're going to containerize our IDE, and then we're going to deliver that to them using VMware Kubernetes Service and VCF automation for the self-services piece. It's a really exciting crossover engineering experience where we don't have to talk to them or teach them about the VDI performance intricacies, and they don't have to school us on their developer tools. And so what is this all going towards? What is it all laddering up to? It's really allowing us to capture the full power of private cloud. I talked about needing to hire more people to do this in AWS. And there's this misconception that public cloud is always going to equal fewer people, but I just couldn't make that make sense. I would definitely need more headcount with additional skills. And so the story I'm telling, and the story you should be telling, is that VCF builds you a private cloud with all of the features, self-service, scalability, data sovereignty, without the public cloud headaches. Stop thinking about it as servers and infrastructure and start thinking and talking about it as private cloud, period. That $1 million savings that I was talking about, that's really just the start. VCF is going to change every single one of the renewal conversations that we have in the next 3 to 5 years. And it's really exciting because all I see is possibility for saving money. I've used VMware products since the 2.x days, and I feel like VMware has made me 2 promises. The first one is that we're going to let you virtualize your workloads and extract maximum value from the hardware that you already own. And they've been delivering on that promise for a really, really long time. The second one is that we're going to enable customers of any size to run a full stack private cloud on-prem. And for the first time, I really feel like VMware and Broadcom are delivering on that promise. So if my small team can embrace VCF, certainly so can you. And if a small team like mine can have these big ideas and do big things inside of VCF, so can you. Dive into the sessions, talk to your reps. I really think that your aha moment is out there waiting for you at Explore this year. I want to say thank you to my Grinnell Mutual infrastructure team. Without them, none of this is possible. I want to say thank you to 27 Virtual for being an amazing partner during our implementation. And thank you to Broadcom for finally delivering a platform that lets our small shop punch above its weight.